Hey guys, welcome back to yet another YouTube video and a long-awaited part 2 of probably the most outdated season preview in the world now, but better late than never, of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross and F1 World Championship 450 class season preview. Obviously now I was meant to do this whole as one video, but of course it was filmed a bit too late, and I've also, as I'm filming this right now, it's actually on a Friday night and actually at 11:15 at night. So yeah, so I'm gonna do the rest of the podium threats as I was gonna do. Gonna do the rookies and then some other riders I'm gonna talk about. I'm going to talk about some predictions I've done, also some predicted stuff like strongest manufacturer, my actual predictions like who's going to be champion, best manufacturer, best rookie, big disappointment, and that sort of stuff, and also 2 bold predictions I'm going to do. So yeah, so let's move on. So first let's finish off the podium threats. So Malcolm Stewart, obviously, if you haven't watched the first 2 Houston races last Saturday and of course the other day, then click off this video. I might at some stage of the video annotation somewhere up there to part 1 of so you can watch that back before you watch the second part. But yeah, so let's move on. Let's move to Malcolm Stewart. So of course, as we all know, pre-season, of course, he moved from the Smart Top Bullfrog Spars Motor Concepts Honda team to now the Monster Energy Star Yamaha team, which of course Star Racing has taken over the Yamaha factory effort for this year. He's shown in the first couple of races that he can be a podium threat. He's shown that he can threaten to get podiums this season, and maybe even a win, maybe. But for this here, I've decided that I'm not gonna put him in that bracket. Maybe in the next, this Sunday, as I said so many times, yes, it's Saturday night over in America, but it's Sunday afternoon here in Australia, which will be the 3rd Houston race. Which will be the 3rd Houston race. So you never know, probably this Sunday, he'll probably say, screw you, Braden, and he just wins the 3rd Houston race. You never know. Another guy, of course, who I think could get a couple of podiums, and he hasn't had a great start to this season, but hopefully as the season goes on he'll get better, and that is Martin Davalos, the 2020 Monster Energy Supercross Rookie of the Year. Even though Adam C and Cerullo had a good season before he was injured. But yeah, I think for the rest of the season, I believe that once it gets going, once the season gets going, he will get going and get a couple of podiums. I can see him winning a heat race or 2. But I believe that he won't. I believe he won't win. He won't win any main events. Just yet, I don't think in his career will probably wait for a couple of years. So that's on Martin Davalos now. Move on to the leading guy on the Smart Top Bullfrog Spars Motor Concepts team in Vince Freezy. Of course, as we all guys all know, they have four guys on their team. Of course, the other three I'll be talking in a bit, which are of course Shane McElrath, Brock Tickle, and Benny Bloss. Of course, those three are going to be on the 2020 Honda CRF 450, while Vince Breezy is going to be on the newest Honda CRF 450, which is the 2021 version. The same version that Ken Roxon and Chase Sexton are on the Team HRC Honda, and I don't know if Justin Brayton is on that bike. I think Brayton's also on the 2020 Honda as well. You guys down in the comments can correct me on that if he's riding the 2020 Honda. I'm not so sure about that. But I think Freezy he showed in 2020 that he has improved, and I think he can improve again this season, and of course with the 2021 machine, I think I can see him getting a podium or two. Maybe get like a couple of whole shots like he did last year. Of course, he hasn't had he's had a fairly decent start to the year, and he hasn't been good, but he hasn't been great, but he hasn't been bad either. He's been around the middle, so hopefully, I could see him, as I say, getting a couple of podiums every now, getting a couple of podiums throughout the season. So now let's move on to the rookies, of course, which are, of course, as I said, Shane McElrath, Dylan Ferrandis, Chase Sexton, and Brandon Hartranft. So let's move on. So let's firstly talk about Shane McElrath. Obviously, he has not raced. I don't think he didn't race the first two races because during training before Houston won, he suffered I think it was a grade 2, not grade 2, grade 4 or grade 3 shoulder separation. I think it was grade 4. I heard grade 4 shoulder separation. I need to check on that. And that made him miss out on the first. I don't know if he raced in the second in the race the other day. I know he didn't race in the first Houston race, but I don't know if he raced in the second one or not. And I don't know if he's going to race in the third one. There might be a chance that he might come back for the first Indianapolis race in like a week or so time. But yeah, so it's the perfect chance to talk about him because he hasn't raced yet. Unlike all the others which I've got here that have raced. So I believe McElrath. I think he won't be the best rookie, but I don't think he'll be the worst. He's going to be around about in the middle. A decent. He's not going to it's going to do so well like a Ferrandis or Sexton. I think he'll be close, but not quite close to them. Maybe get a few top 10s, maybe a couple of top 5s. Maybe he might win a shock heat race, maybe or run one of the heat races, I should say. But you never know with that. Yes. Of course, we haven't seen him race yet, so we don't know how he's gonna go. Next one, of course, is Dylan Ferrandis. Now, of course, congrats to him on claiming his first 450 Supercross podium the other day. Congrats to him on a brilliant second place behind behind Eli Tomac, which was a great drive from both of them. And now it's all of a sudden Ferrandis is now 1 point behind Barsha now in the championship. But yeah, I said to myself pre-season that this season that I think it won't be surprising if he wins a couple of races, but he will surprise me if he contends on the podium regularly. Now that he's and don't forget he's doing this with an injured wrist. So that means he's not 100%. He's getting a podium when he's not 100%. Just imagine when he is 100%, he'll get podiums consistently. So for me, watch out for Dylan Ferrandis this season. Because of course he's getting a podium and he's not 100%, and two, of course, he's got 450 experience. Remember, before the 2020 season, when he was supposed to defend his 250 West title, he actually competed in a couple of pre-season races overseas on a 450 Yamaha. So he has got experience on racing 450s in Supercross overseas. So yeah, of course, pre-season race overseas and of course actual Supercross racing, the 450 class is pretty much different. But yeah, but we both know that. We all know that. So for me, watch out for Dylan Ferrandis. He might spring a massive surprise and a shock and have a title tilt in possibly his first season in the 450 class. Now, the one guy who was another one who I would have thought would have probably maybe, well, not a massive, would have had a massive tilt for the title, but probably would have had a pretty good crack at it, was Chase Sexton, until, as we all know, at Houston, at the second Houston race, he high-sided on the bike MotoGP style, and of course injured his collarbone, and that started, of course, everybody's talking about the drama with the Red Cross flag, and of course that's the same incident that of course Ken Roczen got penalised. I think it was Roczen, Freezy, Anderson, and another one. Yeah, Davalos got in trouble for, and I think it was deducted points. I think it was the crime. I've seen Ken Roczen on Instagram saying he's posted on Instagram, because I follow him on Instagram, saying stuff like, oh, it's that doesn't fit the crime, and I was apparently saying that Ferrandis blocked him and all that sort of stuff, so or was in his way, so he couldn't see the Red Cross flags. And so yeah, because what the rule was, if you I'll get back to Chase Sexton. The rule is, if it's a Red Cross flag, you need to roll this particular rhythm section where the Red Cross flag is. So if you double or triple the in one of the in the ribbon section, then you'll get penalised. And of course that's what happened to, of course, Roczen, Anderson, Freezy, and Davalos in the race the other day, which of course Roczen's not happy about, obviously, because of course I think he finished 5th the other day, and he would have had the championship lead, but unfortunately he was penalised. I think it was 4 or 5 points, and now of course all of a sudden now Barsha's regained the red plate heading into the 3rd Houston race this weekend. So back to Chase Sexton. Now, before, I would have felt like maybe it was not like Dylan Ferrandis, but maybe he would have been, he would have contended for podiums, and possibly a couple of wins, maybe 2 or 3 wins this season. Or a win or 2 or 3 at least. So yeah, and it's pretty much unfortunate he's going to miss the 3rd Houston race, because now he's going to be way behind in the terms of the championship. Of course, we're missing a race, obviously. So hopefully he gets well, and hopefully we'll see him on the track at Indianapolis. Now the last of the rookies, obviously, not much talk about him, obviously for a reason, because of the team he's on, and that's Brandon Hartranft. Obviously, he's on the Twisted Tea Hep Suzuki, which is kind of of course it's now the official Suzuki team, now that Joe Gibbs Racing shut down it shut down its motocross and supercross program towards the end of last year in 2020. So not much expectations from him, and more specifically the team. Maybe it even has a couple of top 10s in him. I think he'll run towards the back, and maybe even run several top 15s in there for Hartranft, but not much expected from him in his rookie season. Now let's talk about other riders as well. Aaron Plessinger, obviously. Of course, he was the most. I think for me, he was the most impressive one out of the first Houston race. He was very impressive. He wasn't that impressive in the second Houston race, but I believe I think he and Malcolm Stewart are definitely benefiting from, of course, Star Racing, of course, taking over the Yamaha factory effort for this year. Of course, Justin Bogle has been retained by Rocky Mountain ATV KTM team this year. Not much expected of him, unlike 2020, because he was very impressive in 2019. Of course, a couple of heat victories in 2019. 2020, he wasn't as good as I thought he would be. The expectations in 2021 are basically very fairly low for Bogle. Of course, Brock Tickle, of course, moving to the Spar Top Bullfrog Spars Motor Concepts team. After, of course, as we all know, last year, of course, his drug ban was over. He raced most of Supercross, and of course raced on Pro Motocross. Did fairly well there, and now he's moved on to the Motor Concepts on the team as part of that 4-bike effort. I believe he'll go well. He'll also go well. I think he'll take time to get used to the Honda, obviously, because he's raced on so many different manufacturers over his career. Of course, Kawasaki was in his 250 days. Of course, when he won the 250 title in 2011. He's ridden for Suzuki. KTM, and now he's riding for Honda. So he'll struggle to get used to the Honda, but I believe by the end of the season he will get used to it and get some results out of the 2020 Honda. Max Anstey, the British-born rider. Of course, he spent most of his career in GP in the MXGP series, World Championship series. Now he's gone back to America with Supercross. Obviously, he's not gonna. He didn't race. He didn't race the first two races, and he's not gonna. I don't think he'll race the third race, because I think he suffered an injury just before Houston won. Yeah, but yeah, I believe for me, I don't think he will hit his stride. I believe in Supercross. I believe he'll mostly hit his stride when they get to outdoors with the pro motocross scene, because that's what probably Anstey's probably most known for. But he's not bad in Supercross, because he's shown when he won a Supercross round. I believe it was in 2011, 2012. That was just before he raced motocross in Europe. But yeah, but I believe. Now, I don't think he will go that bad. I'm not expecting major things out of him. Now let's move on. And finally, we'll talk for the final rider we're going to talk about is Benny Bloss. Of course, the fourth rider out of the Smart Top Bullfrogs Bars Motor Concepts team. I think he'll be exactly like Tickle. I'm not expecting him to like blow us away with several early results. Like, of course, for example, he didn't make the main in the first Houston race, but he did make the main in the second. Because it's highly appropriate that he missed the main event in Houston 1, because the field is so stacked. I mean, it is incredibly stacked. I mean, it's probably the most stacked 450 field. Probably since they introduced the 450cc bikes into the Premier class of Supercross. It's so stacked. Anybody can be on the podium. Anybody can win races. Probably just about anybody outside outside Tomac, Roxon, and Webb can win the title because of how stacked it is. So yeah. So it is you can basically say, oh, I get it why Benny Bloss missed out on the main event in Houston 1. He did make the main in Houston 2, but he didn't. I think he finished inside the top 15, something like that. So yeah. So as I said, like Brock Tickle, I expect him to really get to grips with the Honda, maybe in the back half of the season. But yeah, so that's what I'm expecting for Benny Bloss. So that's all the riders on that list. Now let's move on to some of my predictions. Now, this is the first of my predictions is my predicted strongest manufacturers. Now, this is basically what I predicted at the start of the season. So let's start from the bottom here. So let's start from the bottom. So the seventh or the worst manufacturer, I have Suzuki. I think they'll spring a few surprises. Especially with, of course, with Anstey when he comes back, Hart Ramped, and Adam Fentic-Knapp. Sorry for the dog bark in the background. So yeah, I think they'll spring a surprise, but I believe they'll be the lowest ranked manufacturer, the weakest manufacturer on there. Sorry to all you guys, the big Suzuki fans. Sixth place, I have Gas. The reason why I put him there was because I thought, mate, I would have put him a lot higher, but of course they will have one rider in Justin Barsha, and it wouldn't make sense to put him up in front of Yamaha, but as it's now, I've now spoiled it for you guys. Number 5 is Yamaha, but Gas, I believe, as of course Barsha showed in the first race, at the first Houston race, we all know Gas can be successful. But this is what I predict them to be the 6th strongest manufacturer. 5th was Yamaha. Again, I would have put these ones higher, of course, having Ferrandis, Malcolm Stewart, and Plessinger. But the ones up in front were a bit stronger. Have a bit stronger lineups as well. 4 it is Husqvarna, same as of course Yamaha and Gas. I would have put them higher, but of course the other 3 manufacturers have way stronger lineups. Of course Osborne, Anderson, Wilson on the factory team. I believe that I think it is strong, but not as strong as the other 3 manufacturers. 3, I think, goes to Honda. Of course, you got a team of Roczen. You got Roczen, Sexton, Brayton, Freezy, Tickle, McElrath, and Benny Bloss on their team. So that's 7 riders that I know about on that Honda team, on a Honda. But I believe like the others, except for Suzuki, obviously, could have put them a lot higher. But of course, the other 2 manufacturers have much stronger lineups. Kawasaki, I put them 2nd. I probably could have put him at number 1, of course, with having Tomac and of course Adam Cianciarulo in there, but of course not enough to bump off number 1, which is KTM. I believe they have the strongest lineup. I mean, listen to these 4 names that they've got: Cooper Webb, Marvin Musquin, Joey Savacci, and Justin Bogle. I know Bogle and Savacci are probably not gonna set the world on fire, but I believe Webb and Musquin are probably gonna I think for me, in my opinion, go on my words here, Cooper Webb and Marvin Musquin at Red Bull KTM is probably for my opinion the strongest lineup. I know there's Roczen and Sexton at Team HRC Honda. Of course, there's Tomac and Cianciarulo on Monster Energy Cowie. I know there's Zacho, Dino, and Jason on Rockstar Energy Husky. But for me, I believe Cooper and Marv are on part of that Red Bull KTM team is probably the strongest lineup. That's why I put them at number 1 as the strongest manufacturer on the grid. Now let's move on to my predictions here. For this one, I'm going to start from the bottom again. The biggest the disappointment for me. I've put Eli Tomac, and I thought maybe after the first Houston race I was probably proven right after he finished 13th, but of course he ended up winning the second race, and you never know what could happen with that. So I think for me, he's probably, for me, in my opinion, I don't know why, disappointment. I think he'll finish at least probably 3rd or 4th in the championship, and that could mean a disappointment. I believe for him, probably in his mind, he's saying anything other than a title. Obviously, defending my title is probably disappointing. But yeah, I believe for me the reigning champ in Eli Tomac will probably be the biggest disappointment in my opinion of the season. Now to the biggest surprise, another one which I thought was gonna, which I was proven right in the first Houston race. The biggest surprise would be Gas. It will be a manufacturer in Gas, I should say. And they won in their first ever Supercross race, which was absolutely crazy that they won in their first race, of course, thanks to Justin Barsha. They didn't run quite as well, of course, with Justin Barsha's gear lever breaking or snapping or something like that, and he ran pretty much the whole last, I think it was, they said 8-9 laps in first gear. So that's why he dropped from, I think it was behind Roxon in 6th to 9th. You know, not finishing at the end of the night. So yeah, so I believe for me, Gas, I think will spring to be a surprise. The best rookie, this was I selected this pre-season. It's sad that he's now injured now, and that is Chase Sexton. I thought you guys probably say, "Oh, what about Ferrandis?" Well, I think for me, Sexton's good start to the season probably would have been enough for him to clinch the best rookie, but obviously, of course, he's injured, so I believe that's now gone out the window. It's gone out the window now. So yeah, so I think for me, Sexton's probably the best rookie. Best manufacturer, I think it's Kawasaki, I believe. I think performances from, of course, Tomac and Cian Cerullo will probably be enough for them to, of course, be the best manufacturer or secure a manufacturer's championship or something like that. So yeah, so I believe that'll be the case. And the champion, this one is a controversial one, and probably 99.9% of people that are running down the comments saying, "Oh, you're gonna be wrong with this one." I'm confident about this one. I'm hopping on the Zacho train. I'm thinking Zach Osborne is going to win the Supercross title after claiming the Pro Motocross title in 2020. I think I thought basically he would take a lot of confidence out of the first, of course, out of his first 450 motocross title, even though it was in a shortened season. So yeah, and of course, he didn't start that bad. Obviously, he was finished 10th in the first race, and he was up as high as second with about 4 laps to go in the second Houston race, but of course he went down. So I believe for me, I believe I said to myself, if Zach Osborne started the season well, then he could possibly have a chance. And well, of course, with the 10th place finish in the first race. I can't remember where he finished in the second race, but yeah, I believe that could be enough for me. That could not be enough, but obviously, I believe for me, he could possibly win the. Of course, I think he can. I still think he can win the title and maybe do what Cooper Webb did in 2019, that shocked the world, and win the Supercross title. So those are my 450 predictions for the champion, best rookie, biggest surprise and disappointment, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Lastly is my bold predictions. Now this one is, so the first one, obviously, This one's the first one. The best bold prediction. Four different riders from four different factory teams will win the opening 4 races. So already Barsh has won for the factory gas team. Eli Tomac's already won for of course the factory Kawasaki team. So the other 4, who would they go to? Will it be the factory Honda? Will Roxon finish on the top of the podium? Will Osborne or Anderson or Wilson win a race for the factory Husqvarna? Will Cooper Webb and Marvin Musquin win one for factory KTM? I mean, there's just so many different factors. Even Stewart, even Malcolm Stewart, even Mookie. Even Mookie, Dylan Ferrandis, or Aaron Plessinger can win a race for factory Yamaha. Who knows? They possibly could be 6 different factory teams that could possibly win a race this year in 2021, and that's big, and that's going to be big. So yeah, of course, last year, of course, 3 different factory teams ended up winning the first 3 races. Of course, Barcia on factory, Yamaha and Anaheim won. Of course, Ken Roxon at St. Louis, and then of course Eli Tomac at Anaheim too, which in the 3rd race. Speaking of first race, that is my final prediction. Prediction number 2. I think this is going to be the big one. This is a big one. I think the winner of this race this weekend, the 3rd and final Houston race, will win the Supercross Championship. And for this one, I've got evidence to support this. So from the last 11 years, from 2010, from the start of the 2010s, from 2010 to of course to 2020 last season. I have to count this for a second. Seven times out of the last 11 years has the winner of the 3rd race of the season gone on to win the title. It happened with Ryan Dungey in 2010. Villapoto happened to him a couple of times actually in 2011 and 2013. Happened to Dungey again in 2016 and 2017. Happened to Cooper Webb in 2019. Of course, that was in a Triple Crown event. And then of course it happened, of course, last season to Eli Tomac in 2020. So those guys have won the 3rd race of the season and then went on to win the 450 Supercross the 450 Supercross title. I didn't know what I was going to say, championship or title for a second there. So yeah, so that one, I've got evidence to support that, and I believe that one's a big one. I believe, so as I repeat, the winner of this weekend's final race at Houston, I believe, will go on to win the Supercross title. That's what I believe. That's what I think will happen, definitely. So yeah, so that's basically it for this part 2, guys. Of course, my apologies for doing this here. Of course, I believe I will be. Of course, I'm doing this on a Friday night. Soon, it's almost midnight, obviously here in Australia. So this video may come out tomorrow, late tomorrow morning, early tomorrow afternoon. Obviously, of course, big things planned. Of course, as you guys all know, the AFL Evolution 2 Summer Series, that's going to launch very soon. It's very soon than you'll think. So of course, the qualification game, of course, fixture getting released, and of course, the series starting up. So yeah, so it's basically going to be a big summer in terms of me for content over the next few weeks. So yeah, so of course, as usual, like this video, comment down below, of course, your feedback. Obviously, who do you think will win the Supercross title? How well do you think Eli Tomac will go? The works and all that. Of course, share this to all your friends that are Supercross fans, and of course, click somewhere down there, the big red button, which is subscribe, and of course, click on the notification bell to get notified when I next do my videos. And one last little thing before I go, thank you so much. Obviously, I was supposed to say this at the start. Thank you guys so much for of course part 1 of the 450 Supercross season preview. I believe it's only been up for only about 2 days, and it's already got about 12 views, which for some people say, "Oh, that's terrible. It's terrible for you. That's terrible." But for me, that's like, oh yes, because there's proven that there's people that are watching the videos. And also a big milestone recently. Also, I got to double-figure subscribers for the first time. So congratulations to me on that. To myself on that, and then hopefully more of those to come, hopefully. But yeah, but until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later.